Hello, this is Sara. Welcome to Simply Channeling. We have already set our intentions and gratitude in our prayers prior to this video. Please relax and enjoy.
When we've selected our next incarnation, where we want to go when we want to experience something new in a 3D world, and leave the presence of you folks temporarily, do we change ourselves to match the collective for the new destination? By that, what I mean is, if a person, an entity that lived on Earth, has passed on to visit you folks, but then they go to live with some insectoid type of 3D environment, do they change their essence to match that, or does it just kind of meld together? Does this kind of just flow and join together anyhow? Kind of, because an insectoid will not have the same abilities that we have as Earthlings. They have different abilities. So would the entity, before it visits the insectoids for a life cycle, will they go through the changes necessary to live in that insectoid body to match a collective energy for that 3D world? I see that smile for.
You are making it much more complicated
Good.
than it is.
Then simplify it, please.
The essence of a being, your soul, never changes. It is your essence. It is what shows up as energy. It is what makes you who you are, no matter what form you take, whether you take a form or not, what place, physical place you desire to live and explore. And obviously, if a being in the true reality of non-corporeal existence desires further experimentation and exploration by existing anywhere else in a physical realm, then that is already part of the collective, because everything is now. So they don't have to squeeze into a shoe that doesn't quite fit. They come into being in that world, and they are part of that world for however long they exist there, for however long their plan is to be there, just as here on Earth. It doesn't matter what form they take, if they take a physical form, or if they desire. The more I blather, the more confused you're going to get.
No.
You understand where I'm going.
I understand where you're coming from and where you're headed.
Okay.
Leads me to one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a slight part of the question you did not answer yet. I got to think about it for a moment. The reason I asked the question, based on previous discussions we've had between us and Thane and the other ones that have come through, we have discussed the idea of a collective that kind of creates this world.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, if that collective creates this world, then a collective that creates another world may have a different way of thinking, a different value system, a different understanding of nature. And that one may be totally alien to what the current one is that the entity is living in. And if they elect to go there, do they need to make adjustments to themselves to accept or to become part of that collective?
Why would they?
I don't know. Just if I knew the answer, I wouldn't ask the question. But you answered it. As I was talking to you, I realized what it is.
Mm-hmm. Need I say more on that subject?
No. The next question deals with the concept of now. Everything is now.
You have much difficulty
Yes,
with
I
that.
do.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it seems to me that a 3D reality with its linear time is what I'm struggling with in the concept of everything happens now. To me, and this is because of my limited mental capacity at the moment, now is now until it isn't now.
When is it not now?
When it's not now.
But when is that?
This now is not the same as this now.
Sure it is.
No, it isn't.
If everything is now, then everything is this.
Let me try to explain what I'm thinking.
However, this particular moment may not be the same to your linear way of thinking as the moment just prior and the moment just after. So if you think of it, and there are differences because there are differences all over the place. However, existence is now. All existence is now. Whether you call it your past or your future, makes no difference. It is existence, and it's all now, because everything exists now. But in your linear time frame, there are differences, but those differences all exist now. So it doesn't matter if they're different. They still exist now.
Okay.
Is that helping at all?
It does. But it brings forth another question.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
This is because of my limitations of thinking. I think of now as just one point in time.
There's the difficulty.
Yes.
There is no time.
But here there is. That's the problem. I think of now as being a stack of paper, one on top of the other, photographs of all the nows. And if we stand above it and peer down through the list, we see nothing. We see a blob of nothing. So therefore, it tells me that now is nothing.
How can you see a blob of nothing when you have a stack of papers?
We see through
There's
them.
a stack of paper.
We see through them.
That is all the existence of that now.
We don't see the paper. We see the existence, the data of now, not the.
You're answering your own question.
Tell me how I'm doing that.
I said seeing through the paper to see existence. Then you're seeing everything now. In the stack of paper you don't see because it disappears, because everything is now, so you don't need the paper.
But the information on the paper,
it exists. It doesn't go away.
I see it as being pushed all together to get to now. And when it does that, it becomes a blob. The data just becomes a mess.
If all the paper nows are pushed together, they don't become a blob. They become minute particles of existence. Even the blob that you're trying to describe is particles of existence. And existence is now. Everything is existence, and it is now. You're still not following, are you?
I have to meditate on it and think about it, but it is a little clearer now than it was whenever I started.
Clearer now.
Yes. In this instant. Some people on Earth believe that the entity speaking through Sara is only Sara's mind playing tricks.
Her mind is good at that.
What do you have to say about those? What do you not have to say about those? What do you have to say to those folks?
They are just not enlightened enough to see the truth. When they see their true selves, when they get to know who they are, what they are in truth, they will understand that it isn't the messenger, it's the message that is important, that leads to truth.
I like that. I like that very good.
Grammar sucks, but yes, I'm glad.
Okay, Sara. We also talked about in the past of those crossing over from a 3D world to your world. What is the biggest issue that those who've crossed over have at first?
It depends.
I know you'd say that, but then I guess list some of them.
If they are ready, then they're excited and raring to go, so to speak. Most of them don't have issues if they have any sort of concept of the eternity of their soul, their essence, their true selves. They accept it and are eager to learn what's next, to do what's next, to experience, to learn and grow and continue. They just get excited.
Like a kid in a candy store.
Pretty much. They don't know where to begin. That's why there are entities who guide, who are there to welcome them and guide them. And some of them take the form of, but some of them are as relatives and friends who might have passed on prior to this, these beings.
You mean some of the guides?
Yeah, some of those who welcome them. It's fluid, it can fluctuate. However, the essence of the being who has passed on, that essence will still recognize certain of the beings as someone that they know, usually relatives or close friends. And then they learn that it wasn't necessary for them to be relatives or friends or someone they depended on, although they usually are somehow, not the exact energies of those relative essences, but don't want to use the word splinters, but they will.
A section of them.
Yeah, it's as if the essence of another being sends a finger over to the one who just passed on. And that finger is recognizable to the one who just passed through, came to this. And then whenever it is, this finger is finished, it can go back where it was, go somewhere else. Energies are fluid. Remember, everything is now. So when someone recognizes an energy as being a specific essence, they will do that as long as they feel the need. And when that need is gone, which is now, then that one's gone. It's a beautiful flowing dance. And that's not to say that there's any trickery involved or that relatives aren't around to meet an essence when it comes back home. It's what is, shall we say, desired by all essences involved. Some of them do have issues, and I think you already know what they might be. Depends on the physical being's expectations and beliefs and fears. Of course, there's no need to fear, but there are those in physical existence who fear it because they, number one, have no clue, because they have no faith in themselves, no faith in anyone else or anything else. They don't have any imagination. And they're afraid of their own actions, how they spent their life. Even some of the ones who don't have anything like that to fear, they still do. They wonder about the smallest little minuscule thing that they might have thought or done or not done, or, And then they find out, oh, it's not like that at all. Am I making any sense?
Yes.
Okay. I'm speaking much in generalities.
You do that a lot.
Right?
Well, all the entities do. Because now is so vast that in our way of thinking, to describe everything would take forever.
Okay, I'll go with that.
That is what I'm thinking anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying I understand it, but now this question is from Sara, and it's the last one I have. That does not mean the last one we'll ask. She dreams frequently about houses and homes. Is this because of a belief that she feels she doesn't belong even in her own home as she grew up? If so, how do I let go of that belief?
I believe she answered her own question.
Okay. Can you give her the answer? She may have answered, but she may not remember it, is what I'm saying.
It's the idea that knowing now, she figured out her own belief system that led her to dream such things. She is also aware that her dreams have changed slightly. If she's in a house, now she's more apt to be assisting the people who live in the house. She has already let go of that false belief system, which is why the dreams have changed.
Okay. Interesting.
And there's this little tiny voice saying, why didn't I already think of that?
Need to turn slightly.
That's more than slightly.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
You had moved about 45 degrees.
Yeah, that's more than slightly. But anyway, did that pick up what I said about the tiny voice?
If it doesn't, I'll amplify it.
Okay, but yeah, she was.
I usually amplify everything anyhow.
Okay.
2 to 3 times of what it is now, just to get it in a presentable form
For publication.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, that was my last question and her only question. So I give you the floor. Just don't lay on it. Just sit there and talk.
Well, the cat's probably on it anyway.
No, I don't know where the cat went. He's not.
He left.
Yes, he's not in here anywhere.
That's unusual.
He must be comfortable with you.
I thought he already was.
Yes.
Anyway.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
I've said it before, and I've said it many times in different ways, but I will repeat this. That, well, it's going to be slightly different. These tumultuous times are coming to an end sooner than you might realize. And I know that the word sooner implies time. But you all live in a linear time frame, so I have to explain it that way. That doesn't mean it'll be tomorrow. But this is a positive time of good change. We mentioned politics earlier, politicians. As a group, as a whole, politicians realize they're losing their grip on the people. Worldwide. That's one reason they're so frantic to grab tighter. Because the people realize that these so-called leaders are anything but. And the people want peace. They want the money that's spent on wars and selfishness and greed, and even in a lot of ways progress, as you all think of it. That money could be better spent cleaning up Mother Gaia and feeding everyone. Your planet is not overpopulated. Well, with normal people. It's overpopulated with the so-called leadership. Anyway, that was just an editorial on my part. But rejoice, everyone, for that day is coming those who expect it, who pray for it, who meditate on that, who, I was going to say do what they can, but, well, yeah, to lift everybody up to that point where the earth shifts and splits into two earths, as Bashar says. One for those who haven't figured it out, and the other for those who have, and know that if they're just loving and compassionate, accepting, if they're helpful to each other, send the white light of love out to each and every one of yourselves, starting with yourself, then you will be in this new Gaia that is clean and peaceful and is happy to supply the needs of the people. And the people are recognizing their own worthiness. It's easier to say. Because each of you is worthy, or you wouldn't exist. You wouldn't even be here. You wouldn't be listening. You wouldn't be wondering. You wouldn't be breathing. You are worthy. You are unique. You are loving. You are loved. Tell yourself that every day, every moment of every day. And know that your new earth is coming. Maybe not quite the way traditional religions might say it happens, but yeah, the new earth is coming. The lion will lie down with the lamb. Just know that you are loved.